it's political dynamics at work, suggesting that no one wants a recession in a midterm election year. But we believe we're in a recession. But if we're right, then the downturn during the first half of the year, 2 quarters of negative real GDP growth, that downturn might be worse than has been reported. It is true. The last year, against our expectations, has been a very difficult one when it comes to inflation. I never dreamed, given all the new technologies in place to take care of these things, that the supply chain issues that started in April of 2020 would extend for more than 2 years. It's still pretty shocking to me. We do believe those are loosening up now. We're getting all kinds of reports that that is the case. And we also did not predict, no one did, the Russian invasion of Ukraine, which has sent food and energy prices soaring, which is a really cruel tax on the consumers around the world. So I've also not been in a period where fiscal and monetary policy during a recession have actually tightened up. Typically, fiscal and monetary policy are contracyclical. In other words, when the chips are down, the economy is in recession, usually fiscal stimulus and monetary stimulus follow pretty quickly. And instead, what we're getting now is the opposite: fiscal policy tightening, including the Inflation Reduction Act, and monetary policy tightening, and tightening aggressively. So fiscal policy. We got the Inflation Reduction Act, and as I think many studies have corroborated, the initial University of Pennsylvania analysis was that it would not reduce inflation per se. And yet we probably will see lower inflation. So, I think that the administration will take the credit for that. And frankly, all I care about is that inflation unwinds. But to understand the pro-cyclical nature of this policy, taxes will go up. Now, this is over a 10-year period by $737 billion, and spending will go up by $437 billion, thereby reducing the deficit. Now, if that were correct, and I don't think it will be, these numbers are never really correct, but if that were correct, the deficit would be shrinking. And we do know that federal outlays still are down 15% year over year. So that gets into our GDP accounts, and government accounts for 20% of our GDP. So down 15% in 20% of the economy, that is fiscal drag, and is contributing to the recession we believe we're in. On monetary policy, so Chairman Powell gave his annual presentation at Jackson Hole, or gave the Fed's annual presentation. And we read line by line what he said, and it was very interesting. He invoked the name of Volcker, former Federal Reserve Chairman Volcker, who really combated the inflation of the late 70s and early 80s. He invoked his name twice. But he also hinted by using the phrase "keep at it" or "keeping at it" twice. So that was really a reference to the late 70s, early 80s. And I really do believe that the Fed believes that we have a problem that might be that significant. If they didn't believe it, they wouldn't be acting this quickly. And I think they're awfully afraid of ruining their own legacies. They do not want to be known as the Federal Reserve members who presided over another big wave of inflation. I've been saying for quite some time, we think this inflation is more associated with the shock of COVID and the rebound and all of the distortions that took place because of it. And we're getting more and more evidence about that. Now, one of the things that concerns us is because they are so fearful, the Fed members have taken the Fed funds rate up from 25 basis points, so 0.25%, to 250 basis points, 2.5%, in the span of a half year. That's a tenfold increase. Now, we were in a period, especially after 0809, where the Fed was, basically laying low and just letting the economy heal. And so we had this extended period of very low interest rates, which started to change in 2017-18. And then they had to rein it back in because at the end of 2018, the economy looked like it was going to fall apart. And then, of course, in 2020, we had COVID. Nonetheless, for most of the last decade, very low interest rates, very little movement in interest rates, and now all of a sudden, a tenfold increase in short-term interest rates. Many people are using the level of interest rates to suggest that this is not really tight monetary policy. It's only 2.5% on the interest rate. But I really believe that change has been a tremendous shock to our system and certainly to housing. We're seeing statistics, and I'll go into them in a moment, all over the place, that housing is in a recession. And I do believe we're seeing evidence that prices are going to follow. So we're concerned that the Fed's overdoing it, and that in invoking Volcker's name twice, outright and then indirectly twice, that Chairman Powell was basically going to say, we're keeping at it, and we almost don't care what happens to the economy. And in the statement, it was very interesting. There was no focus on real economic activity. The only focus was on inflation. So that was a clear message. We don't care. We just want 2% inflation.
That's it for today, guys. If you found this video useful, then don't forget to like the video and share this knowledge with your friends and family. And don't forget to check out the full video, link is in the description. Thank you.